Hey peeps, Erin Zen Warrior here. I'm hoping that the slowness for this to come in doesn't mean that it's like going to be a really shitty feed. But I turned on Do Not Disturb today. I'm very excited. Had a really cool conversation with one of my very cool friends who I adore. And we were talking about the dating thing. And I think sometimes what comes across sometimes when I'm talking here is that I'm saying bad person for dating and needing, or whatever it is. Like, I'm kind of saying until you've done the work, you're not worth dating. And I'm like, I'm actually not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that if you want a great relationship, the way to attract a great relationship is to become what you want to attract. And so it's worth sitting down and considering what that is. And what I'm also saying is that when we are unconscious to the way we are reaching into 3D to grab something, and I am saying any reaching and any grabbing is problematic, when we do that, we end up reaching for someone who is also reaching. And essentially what both people are doing are energetically leaking. So what does that mean? And how can I even tell physically how I might be energetically leaking? Well, here's a great one. Who has a sore lower back? Welcome to the fact that you have a tribal leak in your system. Who has a sore mid-back? Oh, well, maybe somewhere around self-love or confidence you're leaking. Who has problem with digestion? Oh, maybe you're creatively leaking. So it really depends, right? And easier for me to look at you and tell where you might be energetically leaking. It's part of what I do as part of my medical intuitive work and making people cohesively strong for themselves. But what I'm essentially saying is not, you're not worth it. I'm saying you're so worth it. Don't you want to put yourself into the position of filling yourself up first, of working with your energetic leakage before you start jumping into a relationship? Because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to attract someone that ultimately you don't want. And something I got into explaining yesterday to my friend was, when you are energetically leaking and you're reaching for something in 3D, so you're like, oh, I would really like a relationship. Why? Oh, I just really want to be in a relationship. Well, you need to have a look at why. What is it you're reaching for? Because as I said the other day, I'm not actually looking for a relationship. I am really happy to enjoy a relationship, but I don't need one. I don't reach for one. It's not something that I need to program or fit into anything. It doesn't need to fill me up in any way. It is something that I get to come to and really enjoy. And I've worked on that. I've worked on taking a look at where I've ended up in something that was somewhat dysfunctional and going, how have I put myself in this position? How have I attracted this? What was I actually trying to get from the other, be it consciously or unconsciously? Because sometimes in the world we live in, we're told that a relationship is this and you're meant to do that. And we're told all this stuff where we're told we're meant to reach. We're meant to go out there and find happiness in another. And I'm like, first of all, happiness itself is one of the 6 lower realms in Buddhism, which means it's a fleeting fancy, and we get to be happy sometimes and we get to be down sometimes. And if you think that something is going to ultimately make you happy forever, you're deluded, right? Because it's a fleeting state for a human being and it comes and goes, and you don't get to be happy all the time because you wouldn't appreciate it if you did. So first of all, reaching for someone who makes you happy is a fallacy, I think, that we've been conditioned into. But reaching for safety was definitely something I did. And when I realized that I was reaching for safety in the other, and that was creating an energetic leak in my system, it was attracting someone who was also leaky, who was also reaching for something in someone else. And I filled that hole for myself, and I suddenly realized, well, safety is an illusion in the 3D. It doesn't really exist. Safety is something that actually I am always safe. I am always accounted for. I am always looked after in the 5th dimension. And that translates through into my 3rd dimension if I embrace it. And it does. It's kind of a magical thing to embrace, actually. It's a really cool thing to meditate on. once I started doing that, I stopped looking for safety in the other. And then it was like, well, do I need, well, I don't need that at all. So it became an area I no longer leaked from, and it was related to confidence, actually. And so my confidence shifted, and then I became energetically actually more interesting to people. That was something really interesting to notice. I became more attractive. And not on, I mean, I'm getting older. I'm going to be 45 in a couple of weeks, like I'm getting older, and yet somehow people are responding to me even more than they used to. So I am never saying, hey, you're not worth dating. By all means, go out and date. But if you want someone who comes to you that you can work with, that you can relate to, that you can have good conversation with, I am saying don't reach for anything. And that's a weird thing to say. It's like, oh, so you're not looking for a relationship? No, but they find me, right? They totally find me, and I'm totally open to them finding me. I think that's the best, right? I'm out there having a great time, and cool things turn up that I get to experience it in. Oh, so you're commitment phobic or you're avoidant? No, not at all. If it goes forever, great. If it doesn't, great. If it, like I said the other day, if it serves the purpose of my evolution and my enjoyment, however long that lasts, that's a beautiful thing, right? And if it lasts till death do we part, as long as it's not my death sentence that I made 20 years ago, I'm really, really good with it. People are like, oh, you don't want to work at something. No, actually what I want is someone that I can have really open discussion with about the really hard stuff. And the only way you get that is if you don't have someone who needs you to approve of them, who needs to feel safe with you, who needs, right? Because they recognize that that's all built on a fallacy. That I am not here to expect of the other that they are going to fill in all the gaps that I have in myself. I am going to have to do that for myself. So when I talk about these things, I'm not saying if you haven't filled yourself up, you're not worth dating. We're all worthy of love. It's not even about worthiness. We're all here for all of this stuff. What I'm saying is that the shit that you've been dealing with in your life is because you're energetically leaking. And you can find energetically people who are also not leaking once you don't leak. And until you work out what some of those things are, every time you get into a relationship, a couple of different things are going to happen, but you're going to keep sort of having it reflected back to you that you're energetically leaking, because you're meeting people who are also energetically leaking, and they are in some way mirroring you, right? Now, when you get to the point where you're not energetically leaking anymore, but you still got work to do. And of course, when we get into a relationship, it's the only way we really get to be challenged in how strong we are in that energetic, alignment that we've been doing. It's then you're going to be challenged and your stuff's going to be brought up. But by that stage, you want to discuss it. You want it to be on the table. And by that stage, you're going to be interested in someone who can have that conversation with you. And it's the only person you're going to want to date, is someone who can meet you there in the shadow, in the darkness and the light, without judgment, without it being a make or break situation, without it being a problem, right? Ooh, I stepped in some of my shit. I'm ready to have a discussion about it. I'm ready to say, hey, I get really jealous when that happens. Cool. I can hold space for you talking about your jealousy. But it is your jealousy. It's like, yes, I recognize it's my jealousy and it's my problem. It's my thing to watch, to evolve, and to dissolve. But we can openly recognize it in the relationship and understand where the other is at and be the friend for the other as they work through their thing, and not be like, oh, well, you're jealous, so you're wrong. It's kind of a natural human process, right? That we have to work with our jealousies because they're tied into all that other shit that we used to reach for, right? Our safety, our confidence, where are we leaking? Where were we leaking? Well, now we're in a relationship. It takes it to a new level to be challenged on a new level. There is nothing easy about relationship. My favorite relationships I watch, they are really discussing these things and taking radical self-responsibility within the relationship over their feelings being their feelings, right? And I'm not casting any aspersions to open relationships, cheating, anything like that. I'm not even discussing any of that. I'm simply discussing what we ask of the other in order for us to feel safe, or for us to feel fulfilled, or for us to feel anything. You are not here to expect of everyone, nor are you here to be expected of. And a lot of the reasons relationships build down is when we expect of the other, even if they give us some of what we want, eventually it seems to be it's never enough. Or resentment builds because we gave something up, we filled in someone's hole, and we jumped through a few hoops, and then something happens and we go, why did I even do that? Why did I even compromise, in this situation? And I think we should not be compromising. We should be becoming stronger. We should be expanding with each other. It should never be a compromise. It should be an expansion. And that doesn't mean we don't do things for each other, but we do things because we are really happy to do them. We are really enjoying that expansive process with the other. And if we're not, we shouldn't be doing it, We should be like, yeah, I'd be doing that, but I really don't fucking want to do it. It's like, well, don't do it then, because you know what? Somewhere down the line, you're going to resent it. And you know why? Because you're going to expect something of the other. And when they don't give it to you in the exact way that you want it, you're going to be like, well, why did I do this in the first place? People always say relationship is about compromise. I think we can honestly say in 2026, relationship is about communication and the willingness to be vulnerable in your shadows, and the willingness to hold space for someone's shadows. The rest of it, if I want to go out tonight, it's not up to you to tell me what I should or shouldn't do. And it's not up to you to expect that I should stay home just because you want to stay home, right? And it's not up to me to wait for you to get out of bed so you can come and play with me. And then when you don't do it, I'm upset because you didn't get out of bed to come and play with me. I can go find other friends and I can go do that thing anyway. We meet when we meet, and where we don't, it's my life. It's your life. I hope that clarifies what I was saying, or what I have been saying about relationship. Anybody who wants to date should go out there and date. But when it blows up in your face and you're sitting there going, well, she's such a cow and he's such a bastard, have a good look at what this relationship was revealing to you, and and ask yourself, do you want to do it again? Or do you want to plug the holes in your energetic leakage so that you might actually find someone that's a little bit more fun to play with and a little bit more your friend instead of your enemy? Because the truth is, the difference between a friend and an enemy is communication and being able to set judgment aside to hold space for each other. That's it, right? Whether you can do those things or not. Have a great day. Enjoy. See you later. And please comment, like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. Your comments lately have been so lovely to receive, both behind the scenes and on the comment section down below. Bye.